Well, for more on this story, we're now joined by Professor Tsuniko Baluleke. He now joins us via phone line. A very good evening to you, Professor. We thank you very much for joining us this evening. Well, we've seen more and more of these services doing the rounds on social media and also to some extent casting pressure on government as well as the CRL Rights Commission to give a response and intervene. What do you make of the initial response that has been given to this incident?
I think the country is shocked. Really, and I think that is true also for the CRL. All South Africans and all Africans watching this are shocked that such a daring attempt to deceive people can be done in broad daylight, the way it has been done. It is nothing but psychological deception. In fact, I think this is fraud. I don't know why we reserve the word fraud only when money is involved, but this is fraudulent. It should be treated as such, and I don't think that government should wait to find a specific law. In other words, the police should begin investigating and act accordingly.
When it comes to the issue of religion and beliefs, it always seems to be somewhat of a very touchy subject. How do we then determine the perception of boundaries when it comes to religion, the expression of it, specifically in the context of our South African Constitution?
Well, the South African Constitution has a Bill of Rights, and in that Bill of Rights is enshrined the values of dignity, freedom, and integrity, bodily integrity as well as psychological integrity. So I don't think that there is need for us to be touchy about this, because the Constitution is very clear that the government has the duty to protect citizens' rights as enshrined in the Constitution. And my sense is that the dignity of citizens' rights is being attacked here, and there is no need, I think, for us to be splitting hairs about whether this is right or wrong, whether government should act or not act. Because if we continue to do this, one will have to ask whether it matters who the victims are. Because I have seen this government and this society spring to action, sometimes quick, depending on who the victim is.
Now, you've somewhat likened the incident to fraud, but let's look at the vulnerability and somewhat the gullibility that society may be exposed to, specifically in these instances of people that they look up to in their respective religions and beliefs.
Yeah, look, many South Africans, we mustn't generalize, because there are as many South Africans who are not gullible, who will not be taken for a ride in this manner, who are not as so spiritually immature as to believe every quack that comes around. So we can't generalize about this. But I think we must do a little more than simply blame the gullible and say that because they are gullible, it's up to them. The point is that we do have a situation in the country where you have 10 million South Africans almost who are unemployed. You've got nearly 4 million South African youth who are not at any training and who are not employed, who are not doing anything really. All of these people, and I don't know how many millions without medical aid, all of these people are potential candidates for these fraudsters to deceive, precisely because of their economic condition, but also because of their social condition. So I am loath to merely laughing this away and saying these people have themselves to blame. Of course, they do have themselves to blame, but so does the state have responsibility. So does society have responsibility to make sure that South Africans are not taken for a ride in this manner.
We're going to wrap it up there this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. That was Professor Tsunami Maluleke joining us via phone line of that controversial video doing the rounds on social media, allegedly of a prophet Alpha claiming to have raised a man from the dead. We do know that investigations are currently underway. SABC has tried to contact the church. They have not got an official response. They were also denied entry and access onto the premises, as well as 2 funeral parlors also distancing themselves from the situation. We'll continue to keep you updated on that. And some other news.